Bullying is such a problem that plagues almost any high school. Whether it be physical, mental, or psychological bullying is something that can stick with a child and change them forever. Sadly, there are a few cases in which someone makes it through their 4 years of high school without encountering any sort of bullying. However, that's a little different for NBA players. For most of them, they're at their peak in physical strength, standing nearly 6 feet tall, and have scholarship offers from many schools for them to continue their basketball career. Despite all of this, there's still a few cases and players who have come out and talked about the experiences they've had with bullying during high school. We'll be looking at some of those players' stories with bullying during high school now. If you or someone you know are going through trouble with bullying, you can visit stopbullying.gov for more help. The first player on the list is Chris Bosh. Bosh went on to be a two-time NBA champion, 11-time All-Star, and one of the fundamental pieces of both the revolution of the stretch four and the third piece of the Miami Heat super team. Bosh has a career average of 19.2 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. It's likely that Bosh would even still be in the league today if it was not for blood clots ending his career and making it a life-threatening situation if he continued to play. Turning back the clock, Bosh was the 4th overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft to the Toronto Raptors, and before that, spent a single season with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. With the Yellow Jackets, he averaged 15.6 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.2 assists. Going into college, Bosh was ranked as the 13th best player in the entire country in the 2002 recruiting class, and was ranked by ESPN as the 3rd best power forward. While in high school, Bosh was a McDonald's All-American, led Lincoln High School to an undefeated season, and took home the state championship for the team. So the question has to be raised, who would bully Bosh in high school? And what could they really use against him? The question was answered in an interview that Bosh did with SI Kids, and he talked about how he suffered harassment in high school and how it continued throughout his life during his time with the Miami Heat. In the interview, Bosh was quoted saying, "The kids would ask, 'What are you doing here?' They saw my height, and I guess they thought the only place I belonged is on the court." They were referring to the time that Bosh was spent in the computer lab. He was interested in computers, and it was even part of the computer graphics and engineering clubs in high school. He went on to say, "I had some free time before practice. I filled in that time learning about computer graphics. I like trying different things that challenge me." Bosh would keep his teammates in the dark about his time in computer and engineering clubs because he said he knew they would rag on him for it. Bosh said the harassment continued and was even worse when he made a career decision to join LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. When he was on the Miami Heat, he said people started lashing out at me. I didn't understand why they were doing that. I came to Miami to win, and all of a sudden people were blowing up my Twitter mentions with some nasty remarks. Bosh said the social media harassment came to a peak when a video of him crying released after the Heat lost the Dallas Mavericks in the 2011 NBA Finals. About that, he said it was gut-wrenching to come close and lose. I wanted to win so bad, I cried. But those were my feelings, raw emotion. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. As the Heat began winning and became the best team in the league over their 4-year run with LeBron James, Bosh learned how to handle the hate. And once he was diagnosed with the blood clots that would eventually end his career, the basketball community as a whole was there to support him. Adeona Foyle. The next player on the list is Adeona Foyle. He was born in St. Vincent in the Grenadines. He was adopted, and when he was 15, he went to high school in Hamilton, New York. As he grew up, and even in his NBA career, Foyle suffered from bullying, and he even wrote an essay about his experiences. He was inspired to write the essay after the news leaked about Dolphins lineman Richie Incognito harshly bullying a teammate. In his essay, Foyle said, "I wasn't the most popular kid in school while growing up in the tiny islands in the Caribbean. I was tall, skinny, and uncoordinated, and finding friends was hard. On many occasions, I was the subject of name-calling. In many instances, violent confrontations would ensue. For a long time, I wasn't sure what it was about me that occurred wrath from others. I can tell you that the scars I carry will be there forever. What remains from all those years is a lack of trust and self-worth, a hermit disposition, and an invisible armor of distrust. Even an NBA career, a fruitful 13-year journey that brought notoriety and financial security, has not been able to eliminate these latent fears." He went on to say, As a former professional athlete, I continue to follow the disturbing events as they evolve daily in Miami. I'm shocked, disgusted, and outraged by the racist language used by Incognito, who insists that he's not a racist, but the use of the N-word has been, and always will be, problematic to millions of Americans, especially those who understand the horrific context from which the word derived. As a rookie in the NBA, I remember being forced to take all my teammates' stinky uniforms to the equipment manager. I had to bring donuts to a shoot-around practice. During road trips, I had to take the guys' bags off the bus and carry them into practice. There were even occasions when a veteran would order room service and charge it to my room. These incidents seem mundane in today's sports world, but in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they were difficult and annoying as hell, and I resisted them as much as I could. However, at the end of the day, I succumbed to the bullying and prayed every night for my rookie season to end. Later in my career, I saw incidents where a player's new car was filled with oily popcorn, or a player was thrown into a tub of ice-cold water. Foyle would go on to a rather lengthy NBA career after being drafted by the Golden State Warriors with the 8th overall pick in the 1997 draft. He would go on to spend 10 seasons with the Warriors, 2 seasons with the Orlando Magic, and 1 season with the Memphis Grizzlies. He finished his career averaging 4.1 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks as a 6'10 center. The next player on the list is Gerald Green. He was one of the most unique stories in the entire NBA. To begin, he was drafted with the 18th overall pick in the 2005 draft by the Boston Celtics. He would spend 3 seasons with the Celtics, 2 seasons with the Phoenix Suns, 3 seasons with the Houston Rockets, 1 year with the Indiana Pacers, 1 season with the New Jersey Nets, and 1 season with the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, after his season with the Mavericks, he could not find a team that would sign him and be forced to play overseas in Russia and prove himself before he eventually would sign with the New Jersey Nets. Green now spends a lot of his time when he's off the court promoting anti-bullying campaigns. A lot of his bullying came from an incident which left Green missing half of a finger. When trying to prove his high-flying ability that he's become known for, Green's ring finger got caught to the rim, as that day he was wearing his mother's high school ring. Because of that, his finger tore at the ring, and he was forced to have half of his finger amputated. When speaking on the incident, he says, "All you saw was nothing but white bone, like a skeleton. They said my tendons and all my ligaments were ripped out." In the same interview, he was quoted as saying, "I got into a lot of fights over it," he said, 26-year-old. "It's just nothing to make fun of. I feel like I was kind of an outsider because of that. I used to hide my hand. I still do. I don't really like talking about it. Sometimes I still hide it and not even realize I'm doing it, just out of habit. You've been doing something for so long, you're constantly hiding it. And then you're in the room by yourself and you're realizing what you're doing." As previously mentioned, Green now does a lot of work pushing his anti-bullying campaign, and during one of his visits to school, he told the story and took questions from the audience in which he opened up about himself and how he dealt with the bullying. He said, "They called me everything. I heard alien hand and all kinds of names while growing up. I had a rough time with it because I remember feeling so much different and not wanting to go to school. Every kid should feel safe while they're at school, and they should feel they have the same opportunities as everybody, regardless of what they look like or what kind of shoes they have on. Being bullied was embarrassing, and I can still remember shying away from crowds and walking around with my hand in my pocket to avoid attention from my peers," Green recalls. "But a key to getting over it was motivating myself to keep playing basketball. That was my outlet." When asked about his shyness, he said, "Everybody's different, and you need to be who you are." He explains, "It's okay to be shy. I'm still shy to this day. I'm probably even more nervous sitting up here to answer these questions than you guys are asking them. But I think as you get older, and as you start to become involved in more positive activities, you get to know more people and start noticing a change." Green is now comfortable enough to talk about and even joke about his finger. In the previous mentioned interview, he compared the movement of his finger to a Rottweiler's tail. The final subject of bullying in high school that we'll be covering is LeBron James. LeBron has gone on to be one of, if not the best player in the NBA of all time, and is one of the most decorated careers in NBA history. However, even he was subjected to slight teasing in high school. There are countless stories about awful things that high school students in opposing team sections yelled at James. However, even with the young LeBron having his high school games nationally televised on ESPN, he still suffered from mean things being said about him from grown men. These grown men were the 2002-2003 Cleveland Cavaliers. They were shown clips of LeBron in high school and asked what they would think about him being drafted to the team in the 2003 NBA draft. In the video, his future teammates were not buying into the hype of LeBron at all. Carlos Boozer said, "We have better players than him already on our team, but his potential is probably sky is the limit for him though." Ricky Davis was a little nicer to LeBron, saying, "For them to get LeBron is just going to add to what we need just to make things a little easier." Smush Parker was the highest on James, saying, "He'll come in and make an immediate impact, like a Karen Butler on the Miami Heat." Darius Miles said, "I just don't think you can bring a high school player in and really think that your team is going to just turn around like that. If he comes, you know what I'm saying, he can just jump on our bandwagon. And I hope we can do something big." Knowing what LeBron James would become for the Cavaliers and the state of Ohio as a whole, it's laughable to look back at these comments of his future teammates. Also, in terms of his teammates, what they said was pretty low. They're talking about an 18-year-old kid who's still in high school, yet are talking about how he'll not be an impact for the team and how he can just jump on their bandwagon. However, LeBron, we get the last laugh when he carried the Cavaliers to the 2007 NBA Finals and would bring Cleveland their first championship in team history in the 2016 season. In conclusion, everyone can experience bullying in high school, and it's a thing that almost everyone will run into, even if you're a 6-footer who's winning state championships or have your games broadcast on national television. If you see bullying happen around you, be the bigger person and stand up and say something. And if you're suffering from bullying, you can get help at stopbullying.gov. Thank you for watching another UpNext Sports video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and join us next time for more basketball content similar to this.